Normally, with each one of my videos, I try and ask a question and give you an answer. It may not always be the answer you like, but I still try and do what I think is the most honest conversation. I try and teach you something, and in this case, I think that the discussion we're going to have is going to be very, very controversial, and so I'm going to try and handle this ultra carefully. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today I want to dig into the really weird cloud of tension that exists between gamers and gaming journalists. Now, I think that what's going on here is the fact that many of these major gaming websites now have become incredibly massive companies, sometimes with hundreds, if not thousands of different employees. Each one's constantly switching out. In any video, you may see 5 people you've never heard of popping up on some IGN press site and then never ever see those people ever again. It makes it where, from the outside, it seems like some sort of convoluted mess. And this has accidentally led to a very big style of, well, tension. I think that a lot of people flat out distrust many of these gaming websites. So what I want to do is actually talk about the good sides of gaming journalism and the very bad sides. Let's start off with some positive. I actually think that many gaming journalists, especially at the very top, actually have a level of access and protection that normal people just don't have. So I am actually just a totally random dude. I don't have any professional training. I never went to a single day of college. I'm just some doofus who started talking about video games on the internet, and now it's my job. That is it. I don't have any training whatsoever. Whereas if you look at somebody like Jason Schreier, this guy has a professional writing degree. He's been doing this for years. He's published books, but most importantly, he actually has a considerable amount of protection over at Kotaku, both legally and personally. What I mean by this is that he's actually able to say things that are incredibly inflammatory and sometimes even crazy because he has lawyers backing him up. If he says something and it's properly sourced, nobody could really stop him. Nobody could really just kind of take down his website or take down his videos, even if they don't like the message. Now, this is incredibly vital within the gaming industry because a lot of us don't have that. I mean, I'll just say this in the most cryptic way possible because I have to. I know a lot of stuff that is super top secret. I mean, I know some games that will not be out for years that I've actually seen gameplay of that are crazy. But if I accidentally even mentioned a single word of it in this video or told you the names of these unreleased games, I would actually be in deep bad. I mean, I would probably have my entire channel taken down because some of these companies are just so powerful that they could very easily strike me down. But with the good, there is also a downside. I mean, it's hard to ignore the fact that a lot of gaming journalists have a considerable amount of just, in my opinion, toxic ego. Like Jason Schreier, so this guy writes some great articles that are fun to report on and fun to read, but honestly, the guy is obviously a douchebag. And I just mean that in a personal sense. I just think the fact that he's constantly attacking people on Twitter, I mean, the other day he flat out called a streamer dumb for questioning one of his sources. I mean, Jason Schreier is a little bit of a weenie, and I hate to say that because honestly, his work speaks for itself. His reporting is top-notch. His fighting for gaming unions is very impressive. But the guy himself is a weirdo who's just so obsessed with maintaining his power that I think it kind of turns a lot of people off. And this is something that I personally think does kind of pervade throughout the games journalist circles. It seems like a lot of these people actually think of themselves as crazy superstars, or they think they're super important because they got those journalism degrees before they picked up the controller. And I think that this notion is actually quite negative. Perhaps the largest aspect that caused YouTube to explode and caused independent reviewers to really skyrocket in the first place is the fact that we're normal dudes and very clear about it. I mean, so one of the people I very much like the most is ACG. ACG, who used to be known as Angry Centaur Gaming. His name is Kirik. He is a personal friend of mine, and this guy rocks. He does super in-depth reviews. He'll actually even sometimes like go into specific songs on a particular game soundtrack soundtrack. The guy is the master of beating games and talking about them. And this guy, as far as I can tell, is just a random dude. He just decided to go up on the internet and teach himself all these skills, and he's freaking fantastic at it. Seriously, he might be one of the best reviewers ever, and you know what? A guy like that will never work for IGN. He'll never work for GameSpot. He'll never work for Kotaku, simply because he enjoys being the manager of his own content. Nobody tells him what scores to put. Nobody actually has any editorial control. He is one man, and so because of it, I think that people have really started to like that vision. It is a humble person just trying to be honest about video games. Now, I do want to talk about, there is this really funny stereotype to me, which is the fact that games journalists suck at games. And I think that this is 90% true and 10% false. Now, the important thing here is, a lot of the times, I've actually gotten a chance to speak with lots of different of the reviewers at these major websites, the people whose job it is to actually beat stuff in order to give it a rating. And in my opinion, these people aren't terrible. I think that a lot of them have about the average skill of a slightly above average gaming ability. Like, I mean, just, what was that one guy? There was a dude over at IGN who actually fully beat Persona 5 in Japanese, got the Platinum Trophy in Japanese without speaking the language, just because he was so dedicated and so good at the franchise, and then beat the entire game again and got a second Platinum in English when it came out in America. That is impressive, and in my opinion, a testament to the fact that that guy has a very deep and very fundamental understanding of RPG mechanics. I've also seen people do some really, really good stuff with a lot of these online games. A lot of times the people they have reviewing stuff, like Destiny 2, are seriously people who are passionate about the topic. So it's the people who are the best at it. Other than that, though, I do think that there is a little bit of an issue of, I do think that random gaming journalists kind of suck at games. Now, I just want to say this, it's a little bit of a stereotype, but a lot of these people, they just don't have the practice that we have. I mean, so I only started making videos a couple years ago, and so because of it, I got like the first 27 years of my life, I just gamed every single day. I woke up practically with a controller in my hand, beating Mario, beating Sonic, trying to beat every single RPG I could, and so now it makes it where I am the master of several different genres. I've done entire master files on stuff like Skies of Arcadia to Resident Evil, and so I actually think that I have a great fundamental understanding of how these genres work. These gaming journalists, many of them are dudes who played games as a kid and liked them, got into high school, got serious, managed to go off to a super ultra prestigious college and graduate with a fantastic English degree, and now they decided, oh yeah, I like video games, and so they transition into the gaming journalist world. They're people who are passionate, but not skilled. I mean, some of these people, I'll just say it, even though it's definitely going to get me in trouble, some of these people blow at video games. I mean, I'll say that sometimes I'm like in the press area of like some secret thing and we're all backstage trying to play some game and people sometimes can't beat a demo. I mean, demos are so freaking easy, and there will be people who just can't get past the first level of some like action RPG, and it just blows my mind that they're not able to grasp basic mechanics. Personally, I think that the biggest issue when it comes to the idea of games journalism, though, is simply the fact that it's not all created equal. There are some fantastic games journalists who take terrible pay at terrible websites because they're very, very much driven to try and give you the very best gaming stories. They just want to try and report the stuff that they think is the most important. But then there are also horrible, clickbait, awful websites like Gaming Intel. Like, Gaming Intel recently was spreading all those rumors about a mysterious Nintendo Direct that seem like they may be completely fabricated. It may seem like they're totally fake, but reporting on that, them posting those articles about this supposed Direct, they probably earned $30,000 to $40,000 just writing those fake headlines. I mean, talking about Nintendo Directs is a good business, and there are websites that don't care about trust, they don't care about truth, they seriously just try and write whatever they can that makes them rich, and it's something that is aggravating to see. I honestly think that those kind of people drag down the entire entire industry of games journalism because it reflects poorly on everybody. It's very difficult to see sometimes past all the super terrible, awful trash to see the clear vision ahead of you. I just want to say that in general, I do think that games journalists still do have some good intentions. Like one of my favorite games journalists of all times is actually Greg Miller of IGN, and he's done some stuff that is fundamentally so freaking vital. Like, I actually fully believe in my heart of hearts that this game, Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch, this became popular in America because of Greg Miller. When this game was about to come out, it was considered a very tiny, experimental, very gorgeous little game, but not something that anybody was really talking about. Greg Miller actually talked them into doing a front-page giant story on the cover of IGN for an entire week. And so therefore, tens of millions of extra people who had never even heard of this ended up at least thinking about it, or recognizing the title, or maybe even giving it a shot. I actually fully think that the reason we got a Ni no Kuni 2 is because of one games journalist by the name of Greg Miller. That is something that is so freaking precious. It is something that is so epic, and honestly, it's the good part of this industry that is not highlighted enough. Are there bad games journalists out there? Yes. Do I actually believe that there are some people out there who are games journalists and don't like gaming? Honestly, there are probably at least a few. But in general, these are people who are doing their best to create the best content possible. But what do you think? I just want to know your thoughts because honestly this is a very, very messy topic. Honestly, there is not a correct answer. There's a lot of truth and a lot of lies murkying up this pool of honesty. So tell me what you think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. You might see a couple of these random topic videos over the course of the next couple days, and it's because right now I'm definitely in the hardcore moving section. Most stuff is getting packed up now, so you guys rock. I love you so much. Seriously, thank you so much for being supportive during this move. I love the fact that the views on the channel have still been great, even though my videos have been more erratic. Thank you for the support. Seriously, I literally could not survive this without you. I love you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.